Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of User Words Podcast. This is episode 1 of 2, where we're talking about the Nashville shooting. In this episode, we're going to be talking more along the lines of just information about the Nashville shooting. Episode 2, part 2, which will come out next week, we'll talk about more about like what we can do about it, statistics and that sort of fun stuff, and just policy and data regarding that. So thank you for joining us this week. I know it's not our normal thing that we cover, not our normal topic, and this actually is an out-of-band episode for us, but we thought it was important enough to talk about, to do, and handle in these next coming weeks, because it is kind of a big conversation that is a part of the national thing, and will be things that we talked about around the water cooler. So enjoy. This is a out of band episode of User Words Podcast. When I say out of band, what I mean is normally we batch and do a bunch of episodes simultaneously together all at once. So that way Aaron is like, oh, I don't have to do anything for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
I like not doing anything.
And that's fine. But Aaron was like, you know what? This is a big enough thing to talk about and bring up that let's do an out of band. Let's do an extra one before we go do something else later on tonight. So I was like, you know what? Cool. Bet. Let's do it. Let me grab all my equipment, bring it down from my place and set it up for 1 hour of recording or so. And let's see.
Well, granted, it's just going to be 1 hour. We'll see how that goes.
Why do you say we'll see how that
I
goes?
don't know. I don't know. It could think it'd be quick and short, but short. But
I don't know about that.
We'll see how I get to rambling, and I don't know what happens.
I don't know about that if it's going to be short.
Not this one. But yeah.
So if you have been living under a rock this past week, this past Monday, it was Monday, right?
Monday, the 27th.
Wow, this week just seemed to have gone by so quick for many other reasons. But this past Monday down in Nashville, there was a shooting down at a Christian school, which is also it's also a church. So it's one of those schools that's within a church building.
Okay.
3 students killed, all age 9, and 3 adults killed: the janitor, a substitute teacher, and I believe the headmistress. Yes.
Yeah.
So 6 people total were killed in another senseless act of violence. And immediately right after everything occurred, the same, I guess you could say, the same conversation happened yet again. The same conversation being that of, we need to ban the guns. We need to do these. They go, well, we need to enact gun reform. And David Hogg goes, we need to pass all of Massachusetts. I can't say that.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, whatever. That state that starts with an MAS.
Yeah.
And, David Hogg's like, we have to make those laws federal because his claim is that then there won't be any gun violence anymore if he do that. And I was like, okay, sure.
Incorrect.
Sure, David, sure.
Yeah.
Go back to your classes and study and graduate from Harvard.
I would just say actually go get some street smarts instead of book smarts. But
well, yeah, you tried saying that to David Hogg and he'll be like, well, I'm the smartest man alive because
incorrect.
Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, the shooting that happened down in Nashville was
rough. It was terrible.
Why was it rough and terrible that you would say?
Well, just the fact that more kids were killed, and it's one of those things where it's obviously it's always terrible seeing or hearing about kids being killed in a situation like this. Because obviously before this we had, I guess, was that the only one before this, or has there been more? Oh shoot, I don't know.
What shootings this year?
Uvalde. No, I'm just talking about for a school shooting.
School shootings, yeah.
At least that had to do with young kids. I don't know, was there
Yeah, Uvalde was the last, like, big one
big one?
that made news.
Big well, yeah.
There have been some others since then as well, but
Since yeah, I thought there had been, but nothing on that level. Um, which there could be a lot to get into even with just looking at those 2 examples for the shootings with Nashville and Uvalde.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I mean, you'd always hope that a school was a safe place for the kids to go to, of course, that's what we all would want, you would think, but, it's also an easy target. And this is where I don't know. I wish I couldn't find where I found this post or whatever because it was a thing where, I think it was where Biden had one of his tweets, something about, it's time to do his assault weapon ban and all that,
mhm,
and there was, like, some link in there where it was just talking about a bunch of stuff, and one of the comments that stuck out to me was they don't wanna turn schools into, like, a prison ordeal.
okay,
So I've always wondered why would now this is with saying, like, if you put security and armed guards at a school, why does that turn it into a prison? Is my question. Automatically.
right. So the yeah, and I had this discussion with someone as well, and it becomes a very hyperbolic thing because they go, well, now they're seeing armed guard. These kids are going to school and they're seeing armed guards. They're like, oh, it's a prison now.
Yeah.
You know, with the whole school thing, my approach has been, and this is my statement, this is my stance, this is what I've said since even before Uvalde and all that, and even with this, lock doors
Mhm.
that, you can't come in unless you're buzzed in or
Mhm.
you're somehow let in. But at those locked doors as well, an armed security person,
Yeah.
whether that's retired military, retired police, someone who has gone through defensive shooting training and it's willing to
Right.
donate time or they're paid,
Right.
someone there.
Mhm.
So it's not just free door. Oh, look, they were able to walk in and they were able to bypass that magic sign that just sits there that says gun free zone
Yeah.
because that magic gun free zone sign is going to protect everyone inside that building.
Nope.
I was listening to an episode from Matt Christensen this morning
Mm.
and he was going over some different people doing data studies, right? And since I forget exactly what years, like the 70s or the 80s, somewhere in there, okay? When they started keeping track of this, one group said 94% of all mass shootings occurred in a gun-free zone. Another group said, "Oh, it's 86, not 94." Okay, we're similar. And then every time
Okay.
USA comes in and says, "Oh no, it's only it's 10%." But here's how every
Okay,
time
how do
USA
they
gets to their
yeah.
number. They include houses, your residence,
As supposed to be a gun-free
free
zone.
zone. So they include those places as gun-free zones, so that way what's happening then is I get it.
Oh my gosh. So that obviously lowers that number a ton.
Why their same results is 10%, not
80 to 90%.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. It's just how you manipulate the numbers, which
Yeah, so depending on how those studies were done, depends on the numbers you get. Now, obviously
mhm,
that 94, 96% one, that really fits my confirmation bias, so I have to be really careful with just going with the study that shows my confirmation bias on
right.
everything. That being said, 86 to 94%, I can actually believe that
Yeah,
because okay,
yeah.
there is that magic sign, the magic sign out
Where
sitting outside my work. I think did I
oh,
send you a picture of the one that's sitting outside my work?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you'll have to if you
Yeah, so
haven't.
there's the magic gun-free sign sitting
Yeah.
outside of my work, and it is it's on the glass of the entrance to my building.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna pull it up here on my computer right
Oh,
now.
boom.
So it says, "Please use revolving doors, no smoking. Northwestern Mutual, as occupants of these premises, prohibits carrying firearms or other weapons beyond this point." This point being the entryway to the thing,
Yep.
to the building.
Building.
Okay.
Yeah.
That magic sign is supposed to protect me inside my office. That magic sign is supposed to protect our kids in the schools. That
Mhm.
magic sign is supposed to protect everyone when they're at a place that is weapon-free, gun-free, and all that.
Yeah. It doesn't,
It
obviously.
it doesn't, and you know how I know
It's
it? You know how I know it doesn't?
because it's happened.
Well, not o yes, well, duh, it's happened, okay? Thank you for making my
Right.
point, but also at the same time, so, for example, my work, and you know what? I don't care because I know Northwestern Mutual monitors every employee's social media for what they say, and people can report conversations that you have with them one-on-one to Northwestern Mutual and can get you fired. I don't care. I done with that crap right now.
Well, Paul's fired.
So be it,
Yeah.
okay?
Oh, jeez.
This is getting to be too big of an important issue in the
Yeah.
country and everything that I don't care.
Well,
'Kay, here's the thing. Okay, so they have this magic sign at the entranceway, right? And then inside, they have security people and all that.
yeah. Well, so at least some people have something. I don't know. What do they have? Do they just? I don't know.
And they're armed security in that, right?
Okay.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I throw on a nice coat,
Oh,
and if I had my holster in and concealed, no one would notice. Because guess what? There's no other security measures other than this magic sign.
yeah. Right. And which that actually does surprise me. Like, I mean, I would imagine for them being, I don't know, I guess as big of a company as they are, at least how, I mean, they're huge.
So there's other things too, like
They have, I mean, how do they
so
not have metal detectors?
there's no metal detectors,
That's
right?
surprising.
The security could just kind of look at you and like anytime I go to work, I leave my gun in the car. I am a good employee. I follow the law because in Wisconsin laws, these signs are enforced.
Right.
Okay. So I follow the law. I do what I'm supposed to do. I leave my gun in the car, but I wear my holster still because I've actually gotten so used to just wearing it all the time that
Yeah.
I wear it. Never even bat an eye at me. I think I had, let me rephrase that. I had one person one time, one security guard one time, kind of just like give me the side eye. And all I did was I lifted my shirt a little bit and showed it was fine. But you know what I had was while I was going in?
What?
I had my USCCA bag attached to my backpack. I could have easily had my
Had
gun in
something
there
in there. Right.
or
Yeah.
had my gun in two parts between my backpack and that.
Mhm. Oh, right. Yeah, unless you're going through some sort of metal detector or
Oh,
a
no.
thorough pat down.
Oh, no. Now, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
My employee ID card, which
Right.
you need to scan to get into the office, right?
Okay.
Guess what? There's no photo on it. I could give you my ID card.
I could just go in.
You could go in. No one would know the difference
Well, I guess
unless you got to my floor.
Unless I get to your floor. Okay.
But here's the thing. They don't check the name while you're scanning it. You just scan it
You
and
get the green light and you're good to go.
yeah,
Hey, I could be Paul DeArmond for a little while.
which I'm like, "What?
Hey.
This is
That's kind of dumb.
okay, it's kinda dumb." So, in all honesty, I don't even feel safe going into my work for the longest time, and then
Yeah.
this stuff continues to happen. I'm like,
Doesn't make it any easier.
"No, it doesn't," and that's why I'm kinda like, "Well, thank you, new boss that says, you know what? You don't have to come into the office ever. Guess what? I might take him up on that
I'm not
offer."
coming into the office then.
You know,
Yeah.
because it used to be a couple years ago, I still felt kinda safe wherever I went. A couple years
Okay.
ago, couple years
Okay.
ago. But this last, like, year and a half and that since COVID has stopped, it's gotten to the point of craziness where I'm like, I don't often feel safe going around places.
Right.
And that's why I did start conceal carrying because it got to the point where I was like,
Get
"No,
nervous.
I don't like this."
Mhm.
And the fact that we subject our kids to this every single time where we're like anytime someone goes, "Well, maybe we should put some armed guards or some armed volunteers or, something to protect our kids." "Oh, no, you can't have more guns. The answer is to take away all the guns."
Was it the Jamal Bowman? More guns equal more death.
I don't even know what idiot said that. There's been so many that have said these.
Oh, there's a ton that have said that, but yeah, that was the thing with I don't know if you haven't seen it, which I'd be surprised if you hadn't, but it was like Jamal Bowman as like Congress people are like leaving outside the building. He's just like yelling at them, "You cowards," and stuff like that. Just being for, the Second Amendment and, I guess still wanting to have guns in the country. And he's like, "These are taking our children's lives." And I mean, that's another thing that kind of bugs me. No, and I guess I don't have my source or reference up, but it's the whole thing with they say that guns are the number one cause of children's deaths now. They've said that for a while, at least, but they're saying that the age range is from I don't know, like is it newborn to like 19 years old? And
Okay.
that's children, I guess, even though you're an adult legally at 18. But
Now, my question on that then is this: are they counting suicides in there?
probably, I guess, yeah. I would imagine they would be, because I mean that would help the number, I suppose. Um, but then you also think about all like in which I mean it's always brought up in a I guess discussion, but it's like the whole gang violence thing and stuff. Like there's quite a lot of kids involved, especially in the more poverty stricken cities and whatnot.
All right. So
Uh-oh.
I pulled
Yeah.
this up here. This was from the study they're referencing. It was a 2016 study done by the New England Journal of Medicine. So they say the 10 leading causes of child adolescent death in the United States in 2016 in order of frequency. So the number of deaths they studied 2016 was 20,360 total. Uh, okay, so that's how many children
Have
died, and
died
and their study, and the reason I say this is the study is because it's, uh, 1 to 19 years of age,
1 to 19. Yeah.
okay? We're not talking newborn 0, we're talking 1 to 19,
1. Okay. Well, okay.
okay? I know,
Still, yeah. Okay.
alright? So, injury-related causes, 12,336 or 60%. Motor vehicle crashes, 4,074 or 20%. Firearm-related injury. Now, to be fair to them, they did break it out between homicide and suicide, but they made it overall 15.4%.
Right.
But if you notice and look in the data as it's broken down,
Suicide is pretty freaking high up there.
suicide, let's do some math here. 1,102, which is still quite a bit, okay,
Yeah.
in a year. Of the 3,143 firearm-related deaths, 35% are via suicide, which kind of tracks with national averages, honestly, sadly. Undetermined intent, 50, unintentional, 126, and homicide, 1,865. So, first off, not even number two, it's number three. And then you break it out for homicide, suicide. Yeah,
Yeah.
it, honestly, to be fair, I think each of those firearm related homicide should and suicide, intentional and untended, undetermined should be broken out into their own categories
Categories.
each. Shouldn't try to break it into one, but I see why. But so it's rate per 100,000 with a 95% confidence interval, 4.02. So, and that's why they have in parentheses in the study 3.88 to 4.16. That covers your confidence intervals.
Hmm.
So that's saying about 4 children per 100,000 die from firearm related injuries, and about 1.41. So that can say 1.4 children due to suicide per 100,000.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah.
So is it number 2? No, but
Well,
it's still up there.
it's up there, but when they're talking about it's like it's the leading cause. It's like it's not the leading cause.
No, unfortunately not. We still have way more things here like motor vehicle crashes. So I guess, if it saves one life, Aaron, let's ban cars.
Yeah, I'll have to walk
Yeah.
to work. I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm only an hour away
And then
for a
these
walk.
and obviously I'm putting myself in that same category, but us overweight kids will, fall over dead from a heart attack. Then the number one thing cause will be
It's gonna
walking.
be
And then all of a
just
sudden,
obesity
Wally
finally kicks that.
Wally becomes our future. We're all riding around and
Oh,
hover rounds.
gosh. I mean, I'm getting there. I'm working my way towards it. Shoot.
No, you're fine. But that's why I said, I'm done with all these people going, well, let's ban guns. Let's do this. Let's do this. You know what? No, let's put guards and protect the things that are important.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
our politicians,
They get guns. Well, the security around them gets guns.
yeah, exactly, including down in Illinois, down in Michigan,
All the states that hate it.
all the politicians that say no to guns, bad guns. All of a sudden, oh, guns are good when they protect us.
Uh,
You know,
well, I mean, that was good. I was in the back of my mind. I was just thinking. I was like, all right. I was like, because didn't Hunter illegally get guns on his own?
oh, Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
I
Or was it? I can't remember if it
I
was illegal doing that. Even if okay, so it wasn't illegally done. If that's the case, I don't know. Don't know. Don't care at the moment. If Biden wants a gun ban, he and his family can be the first to give them up. Then that might have a better say in other people doing it. Is it going to happen? No. But wait. Okay. So wait. Yeah. So what is this? Oh, okay. I'll let you look at that.
yeah,
But
continue on.
um, it's yeah. You just think of all the buildings and events that are guarded with people with guns. And it's like, okay, so what's the difference of kids going into these areas and seeing that versus having them at school? I mean, you would think if you want them to be safe, you'll have something that can protect them the most, well, in the, I guess, most efficient way if needed.
Right. When's the last time you've gone to a concert or gone to an airport
Oh
or
gosh,
gone
airport never.
to, a secure location and you weren't subject to screening? You weren't subject to guards outside. You weren't subject to this.
Getting a search.
Yeah. Because guess why? They're protecting the
They
place.
right now, some people there's definitely times where I went to a concert recently and it was interesting because they had and I don't know. There was 3 people like that had the wand and they're, screening you or whatever. And then the far side there was this like gal. This uh, yeah, she was probably about up to my shoulders in height. She was a smaller little thing. Um, but then she's like, and she didn't get a wand to like, I don't know, wave around the people. So she was doing pat downs, and I felt so bad because like I just like as everyone's storming towards one line, they're like, there's more other lines to go to. So I went out to the farthest one because that was the least gone to one. And then she's like, "Do you mind if I pat you down?" I was like, "Oh, dang." I was like, "No, I don't." But I'm like thinking for her, I was like, "Gosh, this could be very uncomfortable for her." Shoot. And like the pat down that I got was not that like I don't know. It wasn't that
She's a trained professional.
uh
She
yeah.
she's used to do it. Like I told you about my experience at Christmas Burns Red, where I was like, dude,
Oh,
you
yeah.
better take me out to dinner.
But I'm okay with that to a degree.
Okay.
That's that's the
Okay.
thing. It's like people will go to extreme lengths to get stuff through. So if you're not like thorough, now obviously do you need to be like grabbing and
Oh,
squeezing?
yeah, that's what he was doing to me. That's why I was like, dude,
Who's squeeze? Well, squeezing. I
not
was
not
gonna
like
say
tightly.
squeezing what one?
Not tightly, but
Okay,
lightly,
he
like
was.
he
Yeah,
was he was
okay.
undercarriage and squeezing. I was like, dude,
Oh man,
what the heck? That's what I
dude.
said. Buy me dinner first. That's not right. What you're doing here.
I guess, and for me, it's like I could care less about it happening to a guy now. If it's a now, well, I guess a guy doing that to a guy, I guess
Yeah.
I generally would not care. Now, if it was a guy searching a girl, that would bring issues to me. So it's you should have females
Well, and that's why like
strictly enforce or like
that's why they do that at
patting them down.
airports,
Yeah.
But, someone if they were dedicated, they wanted to get in, then they saw the pat down line, right?
Hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, no wand. Cool. No metal detection."
Right.
Okay, this is gonna sound horrible. Um,
Eh,
there are orifices that they could use to store the gun in temporarily.
Oh, yeah, depending on what gun they wanna bring out,
Bring
yeah.
in a small 9 mil?
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be uncomfortable, but
Oh,
they'd get
but
through.
you could do it.
You could do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I in those instances, you know what would be the best deterrent to someone doing something stupid like that? Knowing that there's the
Other
possibility of someone in there who is armed and carrying
Mhm.
and who has the capability to stop them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The shooter in Nashville, the police said they had other targets picked out, but they did not go with those other targets. Why?
Guns.
Because they had guards, they had defensive capabilities there, they had security,
Mhm.
they had deterrence. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as of the recording, the manifesto has not been released. They did say once the FBI has finished analyzing the manifesto, they will be releasing it.
Really? I guess I'll believe it when I see it, but yeah, okay.
That's what they're saying, okay?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, as soon as that happened, a bunch of pro LGBT groups were like, no, do not release the manifesto
Hmm.
because they're scared. What they're scared of is that
It'll demonize them.
it'll demonize the transgender community. And
Mhm.
that's a whole other conversation with that whole craziness in there,
Right.
especially because even in the news, they're and this is what's interesting as I've noticed. Anytime that something happens, like someone, transitions, right? If someone refers to them by their dead name, do you know what a dead name is?
I guess I understand.
If I s if you
Is their old name, I'm guessing?
yeah,
You're
what
using their old name.
their old name, what they were previous to their transition, right?
Okay, alright. So
Dead naming them. Right.
I did understand that.
Okay.
Wow.
Look at that. Anyways, so anytime something like that happens and someone, in the news especially, or even in private, dead name someone, I'm using their terminology to make it easy for people in general to understand these things. What happens is that people will often go, well, that is mean. You should never dead name a person, blah, blah, blah. Right. Guess what? Every news article I'm seeing says
They're
their pre transition name.
Yeah. Yeah, actually,
And all the news is going, her, she.
most of it, yeah.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
interesting. Something else that was interesting about this, how many mass shootings have in the United States
Uh-oh.
have been committed by females?
Not it's very few.
She was number what?
Oh. I don't wanna say 9 or 10, but not even I don't know, what is it?
Is your guess 9 or 10?
Yeah.
5.
5! Oh my gosh.
She was
I
number
thought it
5
was
in the US, according to most studies.
oh.
Again,
I'll have to see where I
depending
found
how
that.
you
Mhm.
define mass shooting is the problem that we
Okay.
come up with. That's why I said most studies, so most places that how they define mass shootings,
Was it
she's
3 or more?
yeah, number 5. She's number 5 in the US.
Wow. Wow.
Which is really it is really rare that there's a female mass shooter.
But
Now, she is a former student of the school that she shot up.
mhm.
She was on the basketball team there previously.
Oh, okay.
I did read some stuff that apparently that I shouldn't laugh at that. That team of basketball players that she was on, like, they've had some really rough luck, like, a number of them have died before they turned 30.
Oh,
On
wow.
she was what, 27, 28, something like that.
28,
I
yeah.
forget the exact age when she did this. And I don't know if you noticed or read this. She actually sent a message on Instagram to another one of her buddies that was on the basketball team, actually. No, our basketball player.
Oh,
And
okay.
basically saying, I'm going to die today.
Yep. Yeah. Uh, I was granted, we don't have I guess I don't know, maybe that is the full conversation that has been
It's
shown?
That's what's been shown to the public. The
Right.
conversation itself, the person immediately turned those texts over to the FBI.
After what
After
happened?
the
Or
shooting, yeah.
that was one.
Because there wasn't any context in there like, "Oh, I'm gonna go shoot up a school." Just,
No. See,
"I'm gonna die today."
yeah, I if I got that text, I would hope to think that I would. I guess that is tough because like,
Well,
my first thought was like, would you not wanna notify anybody if somebody's saying this to you in a text message? Especially when they said that you'll probably hear about me on the news?
oh, I didn't get that part.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
that
see
was
that.
part of the text messages. You'll
Okay.
probably see me on the news or something to that degree.
Yeah, at that point, it's like, "Alright."
Like, you're planning something big. So it's
It's see, what's
yeah.
funny is, people talk about sometimes how, like, the ATF or FBI will come up to their house if they purchase X number of guns in so many days. She purchased 7 firearms about over f from 5 different stores.
What? I
She
didn't realize she got that many.
she
Well,
had
that how with one what time period?
they didn't give I wasn't able to find the time period,
Mm.
but still that's relatively short amount of time, here. And what, she had 3 of them with her. She didn't use the pistol-braced weapon to shoot, but she had it on her
She had it with her.
at on her.
She had just another pistol that
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm guessing she didn't use?
Yeah, so she had the 3, she
Yeah. The other one being was and uh, it was funny because as soon as I started, like, searching up what gun it was thought to be, it came up right away in the Google search, but it was, like, the Kel-Tec Sub 2000 or something like that,
Yep.
being a 9 millimeter, like, carbine, whatever, rifle. So, mm, yeah, I figured that was the main one to be used in in this shooting.
Yep, and, thankfully, now the police officers that got there, they got there in relatively quick time frame, but once
Yeah,
they arrived, it was
they
like 4 minutes, and then they had her down.
it was yeah, wasn't it, like, done from the time of the call? Wasn't it, like, about, like, 13 minutes when everything was said and done?
I
Or
I think it was 13 minutes for them to get on the scene.
I thought it was all done in, like, 13 to 14 minutes.
Well, you know what? There's a thing.
There's a thing called the internet where we
Yeah.
can double check and make sure. Um, I do remember seeing of course, I was watching, The Crowder with the Louder.
Can say louder with Crowder.
I just like saying things backwards.
Yeah, okay.
They did like a side by side comparison with Uvalde versus this one, and I mean, yeah, the one in Nashville was mm, done, and I want to say the one in Uvalde. I mean, that took almost like a half hour.
I think it took longer than that.
Okay, maybe they just stopped at like 24 minutes because
Yeah.
I mean the other one had already been done for some time yet.
Oh, yeah,
It was
'cause
just like,
once they arrived on the scene, it took them 3 minutes to get the shooter in Nashville.
yeah,
The one thing
which is that
that
is
I can't find right off the top here is how long it took them to get there, but I thought it was around 13, 14 minutes for them
okay.
to get to the school, but once they're on the actual premise of the school grounds,
Minutes.
it was minutes. And I wouldn't recommend unless you're not squeamish. If you're squeamish, do not watch the video. The video is out there, the body cam footage of the
For
police
of
officers.
both. Yeah, well, there was 2 that I had seen.
Yeah, Warrior Poet Society did a breakdown of it,
Okay.
and they actually, and this is a guy who was in the military in that before, and so he actually said, "All right, here's the breakdown of how," he scored them like, "That was good. Oh, that was a bad move,"
Oh, no,
like how
yeah.
they were going through, but
Okay.
he did say, when it's an active shooter, he goes, "It's the morality over the tacticalness." In other words, the morality
You
of getting the shooter quickly,
kinda
you could
outweighs.
you can be a little more sloppy and not as tactical as you would be in a non-active shooter situation.
Right.
And he goes through and he goes, "I wouldn't do that," but he goes, "But I understand because they're in the middle of this, why they did that." So,
Right.
I will link that in the video, in the description as well in the notes if you wanna see that breakdown video of them talking about that in there. But
Yeah.
unless you're,
No, because yeah,
s
with the videos that I saw, at least um they blurred out the people that were killed in the shooting.
Mhm.
Which I only saw two being Audrey, Audrey, and then I don't know if it was a kid or a teacher, but I remember that's the that's the one that really, I don't know, got my stomach sinking a little bit, was as they were going by, you just saw this dead person on the ground. I was just like, "Mm." So it, at least again, like I said, for me, and I'm sure it's probably that way in all, I would hope all of the footage, but
or
where
where it's
it's
blurred
blurred
out.
out,
Yeah,
I would hope so. But
yeah, and it was probably blurred out by the police department, just because of the fact that yeah, and like Warrior Poets aside, they didn't even show the blurred out stuff because that would actually get them
in trouble.
potential strikes from YouTube. So I was like, yeah, that's how that goes sometimes. And it just blows my mind the difference between Uvalde and the Nashville Police Department, where they didn't even like stop to, think. A lot of times, like where we saw with the Uvalde, where they just sat outside for a minute trying to regroup and trying to strategize and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, Nashville, they're like, nope, we're just going in.
That
Boom,
that's it. No.
boom.
Yeah.
And, it's come out in the news. Some like a teacher said, well, we might have had a teacher or 2 maybe carrying, but they didn't know if they were on the grounds. They didn't know where they if they were present at the time or not. So it's like
For, I'm sorry, for which one?
the
For
the Nashville's
Nashville?
yeah, for Nashville.
Oh.
But again, the police would go, "Well, we don't know what the stats and who these people were or where they were," so they're like, they're not commenting. But at the same time, here's the difference. If it's 1 or 2 teachers that are somewhere, guess what? That doesn't help if they're not at the doors guarding the doors, preventing the people from getting in the first place. The fact that they were able to enter the school, the doors
Right, that's the, yeah.
the doors weren't even locked, that they were able to just walk in like
Oh,
that.
yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. And what I learned so recently, some states so Wisconsin isn't one of these states, but some states, churches, you have to get permission from the pastor to carry in a church in some states.
Oh.
Wisconsin's not one of those states.
Then whoa. Well, I'm good, it's good to know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, "Huh, interesting. That's good to know for future reference on the various states on what state to and not to go to,
Right.
and what state to live
Well,
in and not live in potentially."
well, yeah, I guess, or it could come down more to what church to go to or not go to, but because it would depend on the pastor at that point.
Yeah.
But man, wow, that's interesting. I guess I have thought of that before. I was like, do I have to talk to pastor about, hey, carry at church? Does that bother you, sort of thing? I was like, well, I guess if he don't know, it don't matter.
Yeah.
But and obviously, but now all knowing pastor, I was like, he's not gonna care.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's only because I've known him for quite some time now. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But right at like I said, right after this shooting occurred, you heard the call for, you know, conf
Oh yeah.
I've heard confiscating guns, I've heard gun
Assault rifle
restrictions,
ban,
um,
assault weapon ban.
assault weapon ban, large magazine ban. And the crazy thing with that one is there's no definition of what a large magazine is.
Right, I say right now, I'd say it's probably the whole over 10,
Oh, no, I've heard down
but
to 8.
yeah, that's the thing. It is just gonna keep getting shorter and shorter, and that's, yeah. For, I don't know, I've thought of that, like, what is a reasonable amount of rounds to have?
Uh-huh.
Same time, it's, what does it matter?
Okay, I find that funny. I find that funny that you say that as the other night on you're like, "Look at this. I got an extended mag."
Oh, well, yeah, for a game. Yeah, it's perfect in there.
No, did you get an extended mag?
Oh, yes. No, yeah. No, that's the thing. It's
That's what I'm talking about, not in the
okay.
game. But I said,
Oh,
so as we were talking, as I was thinking
yes.
back, you just were
I
like,
got for myself. Well, and that's the thing where it's at first you can ask that question, be like, well, yeah, I guess, yeah, how many rounds do you need to have on you? Whatever. It's like that shouldn't matter because the people that are going to be using guns against you, as long as you're not a criminal and this other person's a criminal, they're going to have whatever the heck they can get. And they're not necessarily going to have, well, I guess restrict themselves to what we're allowed to get as law abiding citizens if they can get their hands on it,
right.
which but you better believe they'll be able to. Um, especially I guess the right criminals, I suppose.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so what?
as we're talking about this made me think of something Joe Biden said.
My legislation says there can be no more than 8 bullets in a round. Okay.
This is prime example on how these people don't know what they're talking about.
This was back in October of last year.
Oh my gosh. Less than 8 bullets. A bullet is 1 round, buddy.
Yeah, no more than 8 bullets in a round, Aaron.
Okay. Unless the only way you could defend that is if you're talking about shotguns and you're talking about like BBs or pellets within a shotgun round.
You know that's not what he's talking about.
Yeah, of course
He's
it's
talking
not.
about the deadly assault pistol and the assault rifle and everything. But go on.
He does talk about, getting a shotgun. That's all you need is give 2 blasts of a shotgun. Your enemy's done.
Or shoot up in the air as they're approaching, which is illegal.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
but we're cleared by the president now.
Yeah, I know.
We can do
Biden
that.
just encouraged everyone to break the law.
Cool. He's not gonna get any.
He won't remember it anyways.
No, he'd be like, I didn't say that. Well, we got video, or at least audio. Yeah, it's just one thing. I guess that did upset me though. Also with this whole thing, as soon as this shooting went down, of course, that's where and both sides go to is where you'll get Biden saying, "I'm calling for the assault weapon ban." Like, come on. It's like, really, is that our focus right now? Like, you can't just, I guess, have the time to mourn and grieve and not make some stupid political thing out of it right away. And
No,
obviously, it's not just on him, because then obviously the other side will respond oh so quickly for it, or even advocate this is why, which I agree, this is why we should have either guards at schools or allow teachers to get the training and be able to carry at school.
right. And I'm not saying just every Joe Schmo
Willy-nilly,
who's
yeah.
untrained.
Take a gun.
Yeah.
No.
There needs to be some training, some capability, especially if you're going to be like at a school for that. Like,
Yeah.
don't, unless I get better at my aim, don't let me go and be the guard. Let someone who has better aim do that. Let you do that. Okay. You have better aim than I do for the most part.
I got to practice, man.
So do I. But I'm just saying, for the most part, you have better aim than I do. And I'm like, yeah, cool.
Well, it was crazy. As I had purchased like these bore sights, the laser bore sights for some of my guns.
Yeah.
And I figured I got one for my 1911,
Okay.
figuring it's got the just the fixed sights on there. And I was like, well, figure it's gonna be on. Like, they're just set. So it should be fine. Put it in there, aimed. So for at least where the laser is pointing, it's a little to the right and up, depending on how close or far the object is. So it always stays just slightly to the right, but it's either like the farther away, the higher it is, the closer you are, the lower it is, sort of thing. I was like, I was like, I have to adjust this even, son of a. But so yeah, and that's something now that I'm gonna be paying attention to when I go out and I guess practice. Well, nah, that's the thing that for going to a range, it's like, yes, you can work on your aiming, but there's no practicing as far as like, the drawing from the holster
Yeah.
and being able to shoot. Like you can't do, well, maybe some ranges do,
No,
but
there are some ranges around
they're-
here that you can.
around here, really?
Yeah. You have
Okay.
to come up closer to me, closer to Franklin area.
Okay.
But you have to like do some like initiation with them.
Okay.
And once you do it, you get basically like a little stamp that says that you are allowed to draw from your holster
and
and
shoot.
shoot on the
Okay.
range.
Interesting.
So each range is
That's good.
different.
Right. I just always, the one closest to me, I know they don't allow.
Yeah, I know. And that might be also rules of the county or city that they're
very
in as
well could be.
So there's also those possibilities. Same reason
Right.
why their backstop at this range is able to handle higher powered rifles and that, but the county doesn't allow them to.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Come on. But yeah, with as far as training goes, like it would be sweet to have better. I don't know, maybe I just haven't looked far enough for them. But it'd be good to have some actual like good training while you're moving and stuff, not just stationary.
You know where to
Point,
find that
shoot.
training, right?
Online.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously, you go to the USCCA website.
Oh, they'll have stuff for you, I bet.
And
yeah.
especially if you're a member of USCCA, which, by the way, then they're not sponsoring or anything like that. But if you conceal carry,
Get it.
get a USCCA membership because that insurance is just wonderful. It protects you and it gives you a little peace of mind in case you actually have to draw your firearm to protect yourself or a loved one.
Yeah, because
I
people will come at you left and right once you use that.
I pray that I will never have to draw my firearm. But the way society is going, it may go that way eventually. Okay.
Yeah.
But
hopefully
anyways,
not.
once you're a member of the USCCA, you can go on there and you could look at first off, ranges that are associated with them. So either you get discount or they have special training classes, but then you can also find like different types of training courses
Oh, okay.
and where you can go to get them, and it's
Yeah.
not just an online course. It's hey, okay, to go to like the move and shoot course, right?
Right.
They'll be like, you have to go do these courses first at one of our ranges. And so they'll
Okay.
have like a fundamentals course, a course on like on aim and targeting and all that. And once you go through the levels, then you can go and do the actual like the run and gun stuff. Okay.
See, I say I'd like to do that, but as soon as I take 5 steps, I'm like, okay, I'm not, maybe not yet, because I am not in the shape to be doing much of any of that kind of stuff. But it would be sweet, and I don't know. Yeah, I gotten so into like all the gun tubers and stuff like that, and I mean,
That's
probably a majority, huh?
I say that's why I like Stephen Crowder's bringing Mr. Guns and Gear.
Yeah. I've never. I don't think I've ever heard of him really per se.
I never heard of
until
him
then.
really until then. But then I went to Twitter. I was like, follow him, and then it's like, if you like him, you'll like all these people. And I was just, and then there's literally a button you can hit where you
It
follow
just follows all of them.
And I was like, and so now my timeline's just
Guns.
and I'm like, you know what? This is a happier Twitter than I have seen in a while because there's less idiots there.
Well, yes, in different ways.
Well, less idiots like when I'm
Yes.
saying like the people that I like, not the responses, but like the actual people.
Right.
The actual
okay,
people
gotcha.
are less stupid than
Yeah.
like David Hogg and his wonderful thing. You said you saw my response to him on Twitter, right?
Was that was him that posted that, wasn't it?
So he posted, David Hogg posted, "We need to counter this false idea all gun owners are opposed to gun reform. If you're a gun owner who supports stronger gun laws, retweet this and reply with why you support more laws." I didn't retweet it, but I replied to him and I said,
okay, didn't
I
see this.
support more gun laws. I think everyone should be trained on how to use a firearm properly.
Yes.
And
Yeah, that would be lovely.
yeah, so I sent that. Obviously, I'm not expecting a notification from him or his friendly ilk that don't know how to think
You said
properly.
ilk?
Ilk. Yeah. It also, because he got into a whole Harvard before the March for Our Lives things after the Parkland shooting in Florida. Because He was a student there at the
Oh,
time. The
yeah.
narrative of if he was on campus or not during the shooting, that's murky. He claims he was, but our people say, "No, you weren't," based on these other things. So, whatever, don't care. He was a student there at the time when it happened, right? So,
Right.
he's like, "Yeah, he's on this March for Life." That's how he got into Harvard, basically, because they're like, "Oh, you did so much great with things." Yeah, okay, whatever. Um,
You don't qualify to come here, but hey, and which I don't know. I can't say that, but
it's Hog. He tweets nonsense,
see,
stupid
I
stuff.
don't know. I've never seen anything from this guy before. I've
Yeah,
never followed him.
I keep, like, muting him, but somehow he still pops up on my Twitter feed timeline.
Sneaking in there.
Elon, fix that, please. Yeah, so he did that, and of course, Jerry Rig Everything replied, it's like, "Oh, yeah, I own more guns and ammo than some countries." I doubt it first. Um,
That's a ton.
yeah, I know. I was
I
like,
suppose depending.
that's
Yeah.
hyperbole, I know, I get it, I get what he's saying. He goes, "I fully support background checks." You know what? That's already the law. Okay, cool.
Right.
And then he goes, "I support banning the AR-15." I'm like, "Why?
No, yeah.
Why? Red flag laws? Yeah, that's just causing all sorts of fun there."
That's a dangerous one.
And then support the well-regulated portion of the Second Amendment. Obviously, he doesn't know his history because he doesn't know what well-regulated meant back at the time when it was written. Well-regulated, it doesn't mean like what we think of it nowadays with well-regulated. Well-regulated is where we now we think of like orderly formation type of thing. Back when it was written, well-regulated meant, hey, you just know how to shoot and control your firearm.
I hate how
Words change.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's oofda.
So
That's a peeve for me.
so coming up, so by the time this releases, this would have already happened. April 4th, they're trying to, be political and they're trying to do all this stuff. And so they're gonna walk out of their schools and walk out and protest guns and all that. And he's trying to get people to walk out of their jobs and everything too. I'm like, people have been replying to him like, yeah, we have responsibilities. This is the real world. We can't do your childish games anymore.
Good.
He's like, go away. So I was like, yeah, it's like this hog guy just he's gonna be a politician for life. That's what he is already. He's a politician and he's just gonna be one for life. And the problem is he doesn't like to learn. But what I love is Donut Operator follows him just to troll him.
Good job, Donut.
I
That's
don't
awesome.
I don't have enough patience to sit there and troll him all day because no. Because
Just
eventually I would get
100%.
so sarcastic and it just crazy that it would just go bad. Where I'd be like, "Oh, who hurt you, Buttercup?"
Well, now he knows.
Well, yeah, we've known for a while who hurt him, but so that all happened, right? And then this I
Oh boy.
this got posted by NBC News to
Okay.
YouTube. So I'm gonna play it with the understanding that this guy posted originally to his own like TikTok, probably whatever. Then
Okay.
NBC News picked it up. So NBC News might flag it. I might have to remove it. Blah blah blah. We'll see. I'm gonna try to include it, but
All right.
I'm just gonna play this and
See what
I
happens.
think it's bleeped out.
About to find out.
Yeah, if not, I'll bleep it.
Y'all had enough yet? In Nashville, 3 kids so far have been pronounced dead. 3 adults have been pronounced dead from a f***ing school goddamn shooting. When is enough enough? If this doesn't make you sick to your f***ing stomach, then you're a piece of shit. F***ing babies, man. Y'all had enough.
Well, I mean, I guess at least I'm not a POS because it did make me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it makes me sick to my stomach too. But the problem is, like me and you and this guy and people
We're-
who think like him
We are not
have
the
two
same.
different ideas of how to fix this solution. What the
Right.
solution is to this problem. Their main thing is it's the guns, it's the guns, it's the guns.
Mhm.
It's not the guns. You know what it is? It's the people.
The people and lack of security steps with
If we don't change people, when I say change people, if we don't change this degeneracy that's continuing on in the United States where anything you want to do is fine. everything is okay. What I mean is everyone is their own. If you really look at US society as a whole, well, in all honesty, we treat everyone like they're their own gods, that they can never do wrong, that they have to follow their heart, do what is good to them, and they have to make their own little magic and everything. There is no baseline set of morals, baseline set of decency anymore because little Johnny gets to do whatever little Johnny wants, no matter what. And
I mean, yeah, it's definitely gone to whatever makes you happy and to some degree we just have to sit back and be okay with it. But at the same time we can't because there are rules and laws that have to be followed, but are slowly getting that's that's what I just don't
according to a lot of these people,
understand.
not anymore.
Yeah.
They could do whatever they want without any consequence.
Well,
And then we wonder why society is continuing to go down the drain like it is.
well, yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, why are you
I don't know,
hesitating?
I mean, even if there was, I don't know, I guess back in the day, like, there's still obviously crime and stuff like that. Like, we weren't this, I guess, progressive and weird since the beginning. Obviously, we still have tragedies like this.
Right. I'm not saying that society in the past was perfect utopian thing
Right.
where
No.
we never had anything wrong. But there seems to be, and maybe this is maybe just me showing my age, okay? And becoming the grumpy old man, okay?
Yeah.
Shut it. But it seems to me that it's like since the not early, mid 90s, where this whole concept of do what you want, whatever makes you happy, regardless of what anyone else says, follow your heart,
Yeah.
do
Oh.
do all that crap, right? Since we started doing that, and then we haven't pushed back because we said, "Oh, yeah, you want to swear at your teacher? Cool, go ahead, because that's what you want to do, little Johnny." Or
We
or whatever, right? You know, we call them Karens now, but that's become so popular, Karen doesn't even hold any weight anymore. It used to hold some weight at the beginning, but
Right.
now anymore,
Just
it's just kinda
whatever.
like expected. But all that and we don't push back, and we just let society continue to encroach further and further and further towards this relativistic
Right.
society, which
Well,
we've talked about before, the
and
relativistic so
eventually, yeah,
and
there's gonna
it's
be no law and order at some point.
because look, we go, well, now we're not gonna, like, look for California, for example. We're not gonna prosecute if it's under so much because that's unfair. We don't want to be discriminatory in the law on that. And it's just like, but those are rules. The rules are in place for a reason. And just because it's under X amount of dollars, you can just steal without repercussions. Great. How's that going to cause chaos in the future? You're thinking about the short term, immediate thing versus the long term effects on society as a whole. And now you got like, was it Walmart pulling out of Portland completely because of all the stealing at the stores and that? So that it's like, yeah, you as the children like to say, and
Oh, jeez.
why you why are
The
you going?
children.
Yeah, I call anyone 20 or under children. It's fair. They're children because, geez Louise, I'm about to hit 40 here next month. Wow, that's not that far off. Anyways, I'm gonna say this because there's no other way to say it because I have heard this phrase so much, and it's usually from the younger generation. Okay, I'm not gonna say obviously the full phrasing, but you'll understand what I mean. F around and find out.
Mm.
You know that phrase, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I keep hearing that over and over, and guess what? We're starting to find out now because we haven't been laying down that
There's
law.
been no discipline. There's been no consequences for actions yet, really. And it's funny because as soon as you said that, it brought brought me back to another thing that I've heard this Jamal Bowman say. Where it's, your freedom should not be based on your bank account. We need to end cash bail. How stupid is that?
What's his name? Jamal what?
Jamal Bowman. He's the United States representative. JMAAL.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. No, yeah, that sounds. I think I've read something like that, and it probably was him on Twitter.
Probably. Yeah.
So it probably was. I probably did see it. I just didn't recognize the name
Right.
off the top of my head.
It's just, at what point do you just want to make it? I don't know. I mean, you're just giving people at most just a mean glare, be like, hey, that wasn't cool, or probably shouldn't have done that, but whatever. Go about your day, do what you want at the end of the day. It's
Yeah, it was funny as and I put funny in quotes, right?
Mhm.
You know, he's talking about all this stuff, and sorry, I pulled up Bowman's
Yeah.
Twitter
Oh, yeah.
account, and he's like retweeting David Hogg.
Oh,
So
for
it
sure.
made me think of this here. David Hogg posted a study that I didn't pin it, so I can't go back and just pull it up here.
Okay.
But I wrote back to him. I was like, "Oh, did Harvard fail you on math?"
Oh, no.
So
Uh-oh.
this was part 1 of 2 of our conversation regarding the Nashville shooting. So next week we'll talk more about what we can do. And Aaron brings up an interesting question about how far is too far, and at what point do Christians maybe need to not rebel, but take a more firm stand and not just comply. And at what point is that? And until we get to that point, what do we do with the gun laws? Do we go in a boating accident, or do we actually turn over our guns if that is the law of the land? So join us next week as we talk about that.